Women in politics cannot find a safe platform on which they can advocate their political views. They continue to face vilification about their personal choices, dress, lifestyles, and being judged based on their morals, in a way not faced by men. And they are usually held up to a higher standard than that of their male counterparts. Fiji's culture is deeply entrenched in patriarchy and misogyny, and it is critical for Fiji to take effective steps to eliminate harmful gender norms and stereotypes perpetuated against women in politics. These harmful norms and stereotypes are often perpetuated by both mainstream and social media, where female politicians' dress codes or personal choices are discussed instead of their political views. Fiji needs to recognize that violence against women in general has a salutary effect on women engaging in politics, because violence is gendered in its nature and in its form. It has the overall effect of discouraging women from any political activity and achieving their full political rights. It is imperative to fight against impunity and violence, harassment, and discrimination against women in politics, the spaces commonly thought of only for men. Creating safe spaces and an enabling environment for women to fully participate and achieve their political rights is crucial. And an effective way to change attitudes towards women in politics in Fiji is for Fiji to consider criminalizing violence against women in politics. The legislation needs to create an accessible and a safe channel for women to report incidents and receive necessary support, also ensuring their safety and encouraging their participation. We make reference to Bolivia, a country in its effort to foster gender parity has passed landmark law against harassment and discrimination of women political leaders. In Bolivia, the law provides a 2 to 5 year sentence for anyone who pressures, persecutes, harasses, or threatens an elected woman or those exercising their public functions. The penalty for practicing physical, psychological, or sexual aggression is 3 to 8 years imprisonment. In Bolivia's case, they set up a monitoring mechanism through their gender unit to observe and monitor the number of women in positions of power at different levels. And what they have been able to show was that there has been a marked increase in women's political participation in Bolivia since the passing of that landmark legislation in 2012, Law 243. So we are submitting today that, as in the case of Bolivia, it's absolutely necessary to control the exercise of parity by breaking down structural barriers through effective legislation making to achieve parity in political representation in order to generate symbolic and cultural changes in our national political system. On top of that, constant monitoring parity achievements, key development processes, trends, and opportunities affecting gender equality is also crucial. Our fourth issue is leadership accountability and safeguards against corruption. There is an urgent need for stronger laws that restrict political leaders and individuals involved in coups, corruption, and abuse of office to run for elections or hold political position. Individuals who are guilty of these crimes are still allowed to run for elections. And this only shows how weak our laws are in screening and approving electoral candidates, despite provisions that prohibit such individuals. So we call for stronger, more rigorous screening measures in our law. That includes, number one, a democratic fitness test. A test that assesses candidates based on their past adherence to democratic principles, including their involvement in unconstitutional activities such as coups. We do not want those who have carried out acts of violence in the past to be our leaders in the future. Number two, independent integrity committees. We submit that there needs to be an establishment of a neutral body involving non-members of parliaments to review candidates' backgrounds, financial dealings, and ethical standing before they are allowed to contest elections. Number 3, mandatory anti-corruption training for political leaders. We are saying that elected officials and political candidates, they should require to undergo training on governance, ethical leadership, and financial transparency. And the 4th one is public accountability mechanisms. Introducing a public reporting system where civil society and watchdog organizations are given serious consideration when raising concerns about potential breaches of integrity. Furthermore, political parties are bound by the provisions in the Code of Conduct for political parties, but in our experience, political parties do not generally adhere to ethical standards of respect, uphold democratic processes, uphold human rights, equity, social justice, and non-discrimination principles. As such, we recommend the following reforms to be considered by the Commission. The first one, robust candidate vetting. Establish a robust vetting system that includes background checks on political candidates for human rights violations, corruption, coup involvement, with disqualification criteria for individuals implicated in such activities. Number 2, stronger enforcement and independent oversight. Establish an independent electoral ethics commission to oversee compliance, conduct investigations, and issue legally binding recommendations. Number 3, mandatory political ethics and gender sensitization training, requiring all political candidates and office holders to undergo gender sensitization, ethics, and governance training to reinforce the principles of inclusivity, democratic leadership, and accountability. So we also submit for the Commission to also see and review Section 115 of the Electoral Act as well. Strengthening internal democracy in political parties is the 4th one, mandating internal democracy requirements for party leadership selection processes, ensuring transparency and inclusivity in leadership appointments to enhance party credibility. And the last one that we're recommending is coup-related disqualifications, enforcing specific provisions to bar individuals directly involved in unconstitutional takeovers from contesting elections unless they're cleared by an independent judicial review. Our 3rd key priority has to do with constituency representation model, geographical. Our current system is a proportional representation model, which, to be very candid, epitomizes the big man, patriarchal, autocratic model. And this discourages independent candidates from contesting elections. Additionally, our past 3 national elections saw candidates with mere hundreds of votes being awarded parliamentary seats over candidates who had thousands of votes. This shows that the voting process is not fair, it's unethical, and complete waste of votes and people's time. This system does not in any way comply with a representative democracy. Furthermore, independent candidates and smaller parties are not able to get seats because this method of voting only favors the bigger parties. We submit that the mark of a true and effective representative democratic country is one in which elected leaders genuinely represent their people. A minister who is in parliament because of his or her political party or the autocratic leader is not effectively representing the electorate. Perhaps it's time to adopt a model that is truly representative. And there are several countries in the Pacific region that uses multiple constituency systems of elections that have worked so far. Vanuatu, the Solomon Islands, and Samoa are few examples. Fiji have, prior to the 2013 election law reforms, used the same system, including mixed and communal open seats. The advantages of the multiple constituency are as we know, stronger diverse representation and inclusivity. The voters, they get to choose from their different constituency to ensure their voices are heard in parliament. And this also enables the distribution of power between rural and urban areas, encourages public trust in elections. Candidates from different constituencies are accountable and responsive to their voters, which enhances trust in the political system. And the last one is healthy political competition. This will prevent one party from gaining total control if support is not evenly distributed.
Thank you. So in conclusion, our recommendations are as follows. We call for 30% reserved seats for women in parliament. We call for a compulsory party quota where political parties would be required by law through the Constitution or through ordinary legislation to nominate a minimum percentage of female candidates. Number 3, we hope to see tangible measures in place for financial and logistical support for women candidates so they are able to participate fully in their election campaign. We call for efforts to strengthen civic education and awareness programs on voter rights, women's leadership, and societal norms that hinder this, election laws. We place urgency on the need for stronger laws that protect women from bullying, harassment, and violence in the media and on online platforms. We call for greater collaboration between political parties, the government and media companies, and women's rights organizations to prevent and eliminate gender bias in media reporting on political issues. We call for a constituency model that is truly representative of people in this country. We strongly recommend mandatory political ethics and gender sensitization training, requiring all political candidates and office holders to undergo gender sensitization, ethics, and governance training to reinforce the principles of inclusivity, democratic leadership, and accountability. Ladies and gentlemen of the Commission, Fiji stands at a crossroads. We can continue with a status quo that marginalizes half of our population. Or we can take bold action to build a truly inclusive democracy. At this juncture, the current system empowers and enables the same characters from our past to reappear, survive, and thrive. Those same characters are all men. There's a whole half of the population that is not represented, truly represented in Parliament. And the current system has barriers in place, some visible within your control, within all our control, given the political will. And some barriers are invisible, which these organizations work on daily to eliminate. Reserved seats, party quotas, and targeted support systems are not radical ideas. They are proven solutions that have worked across the Pacific and around the world. Let us be clear. This is not about privileging one group over another. It is about correcting historical injustices and creating a political system that genuinely represents all Fijians. When women thrive, our entire nation thrives, with stronger economies, more effective governance, and better outcomes for all citizens. The time for excuses is over. The time for action is now. We call on this government to seize this historic opportunity and finally deliver on Fiji's promises of equality and democracy.